flooring installation for Daltile's Panoramic Porcelain Surfaces. This training installation video has been conducted per the American National Standards Institute installation method A108.19 for the installation of gauged porcelain tiles and gauged porcelain tile panels. This will be installed by thin bed method bonded with improved modified dry set cement mortar. After cleaning the panel and the cups to remove any surface dust, use a suction cup grip rack to attach to the panel. If you're using a rolling carriage, ensure that you lock the front wheels before you attach the panel. The panel has been transported from the shipping A-frame to a rolling A-frame. Remove from the rolling A-frame and place on the floor securely. Unlock the wheels to enable rolling transport. Clean the back of the panel with sponge and water. Remove excess water with a microfiber towel to speed up drying. To save time, you can mix mortar at this point. Always add your water into the bucket first, and then attach your dust collection device, and then add about half to 3/4 of the bag first, holding back on some of the powder. This will speed up the mixing process. Using a drill with at least 350 RPMs and a proper mixing paddle to mix the mortar. After the initial mix of the partial bag, add the balance of the powder into the bucket. Continue mixing until the mortar is well blended, uniform, creamy, and lump-free. Generally, this takes about 90 seconds. After the mortar has been mixed, you'll allow it to slake for 3 to 5 minutes. After the 3 to 5 minutes, remix for about 30 seconds, and then the mortar is ready for application. Apply mortar to the back of the secure panel, and the first step, as always, is to use the flat side of the trowel to key in the mortar into the panel. After that, apply more mortar until you have sufficient mortar to comb straight lines across the short portion or the width of the panel. This is required. This will allow air evacuation as the panel is set on the floor. Ensure that mortar is spread all the way past the edges of the panel. It is strongly recommended to use liquid waterproofing and crack isolation membrane in at least a single coat over all absorptive surfaces. Doing so will ensure your mortar doesn't dry out rapidly, in turn will ensure a wet mortar transfer of the panel and the mortar on the panel to the mortar on the floor. Clean any dust off the surface before application. Mark your floors where the panel will be set and prepare to comb mortar 1 inch past every side. To speed up the process, you see 2 workers applying mortar at the same time. Key coat first and then combing in straight lines parallel to the panel and parallel to each other. It is strongly recommended that mortar is applied to the floor and the back of the panel at the same time, so that you finish combing mortar on both surfaces at the same time, so that you can ensure a wet mortar transfer, avoiding any mortar from skinning over. To assist in reach for full-size panels, such as the Panoramic, you can use hand support pedestals that can be placed in wet mortar to assist in combing. Before moving the panels, always double check your suction cups every time. Stage the panel and ensure that you lock the wheels before tipping the panel. Adequate manpower is necessary, and planning and communication is critical. This is one method of tipping the panel in preparations of setting the panel into the wet mortar. In section 14.2.1 of the floor installation portion of ANSI A108.19, as you tip the panel down, you'll want to hover it over its location before placing it to ensure no one side touches before the other. This will ensure that you do not trap any air under the panel, and you'll set it in evenly into the setting bed. After the panel has been placed, step onto the center of the panel and release the suction cups as you move across the panel. It's important you stay in the center of the panel so that you're not trapping air under the panel in the wet mortar. After the suction cups have been released, remove the suction cup rack. Step onto the center of the panel away from 2 to 3 inches on the edge, and then take small steps down the center of the panel, setting it and making wet mortar transfer. Then step back to the middle section and use small shuffling type steps from side to side to set the panel. Now you have 4 sections that still require air removal and wet mortar transfer. In a methodical fashion, continue to work those 4 sections in small steps, avoiding stepping on the edges of the panel within 2 to 3 inches. After the panel has been walked out, you can prepare your lippage control systems for placement. Start 2 to 3 inches from the edges of the corners, and you'll want to space them apart about every 10 to 12 inches. Using a trowel can help you with spacing alignment. Use the ETM slide for the cut panel. As you did the first panel, comb the mortar in straight lines, and of course, don't forget to key in your mortar. In preparation for the next piece, it's important that you cut the mortar away from the first panel before applying fresh mortar for the second panel. As always, a flat key coat first, combing in straight lines, ensuring that you comb mortar 1 inch past all edges for even mortar distribution under the panel. Be careful not to displace lippage control bases, and ensure adequate mortar under and over bases as needed. Place the second panel, move into place as needed. Ensure that you use spacers and not the straps as your spacers. Using handheld suction cups can help you in adjusting the panels into place. Temporarily place caps or wedges in place to check for lippage and align the panel as needed. Use a vibratory tool like the Raimondi Volponi or a handheld orbital vibrator with protective cloth or rubber padding to embed the panel and evacuate the air under the panel. Use the palm sander or the Volponi to help adjust any elevation indifferences between the panels and eliminate lippage. Allowable lippage between panels is 1/32 of an inch. Clean wet mortar from between panels. After cleaning, you can restrap caps or replace wedges to allow for cure overnight. After your work has been completed, you can use Aquamix products to clean all working marks, suction cup marks from the panel.